And you might be thinking, wait a minute, Kuon doesn't have any multiplayer. But this isn't Kuon. This is
Mystic Knights.
If you've never heard of Mystic Knights, and I don't blame you, it's essentially a PlayStation 2 survival horror game that released exclusively in South Korea. Sadly, the game never got localized for the North American market. But since I like pain and horror games, I decided to translate it back in 2019 and released my own fan translation. There's something that caught my eye on the main menu when I was translating the game 6 years ago, and that was the network game mode. I couldn't find any videos of the multiplayer gameplay online, and I just had to know what it looked like. The only articles I could find in Korean spoke about it like it was some kind of prehistoric version of Among Us. The first hurdle you'll face when trying to log in on network mode is Sony's DNAS. That stands for Dynamic Network Authentication System. There would essentially be a handshake between Sony's servers and your game, and the magic packets that it would send back to the client in that handshake were unique for each game. And unfortunately, nobody took a network trace of Mystic Knights while it was still alive. Fortunately for us, we don't really need to mess with DNAS, since there's a kind soul that has released a DNAS bypass tool, which basically just patches around DNAS, and it works just fine for Mystic Knights. Here's a little visual of what happens when you try to log in without the DNAS bypass. After the DNAS check, the game tries to reach the Mystic Knights servers. If the game servers were still around, of course, it would start a new TCP session with the game client. Account creation, credential validation, creation of lobbies, joining a lobby, starting the game, having that game start synchronized across all players in the lobby, and keeping the game state synchronized during gameplay. This is all handled by the server. And if the server fails to respond to the client in time, it either causes the client to disconnect or hang. But like I said before, we have no recording of the client-server communication with Mystic Knights, so I have no idea what this server was sending. If I was going to get the multiplayer working again, I needed to recreate the server. And thus began the last 3 months of my life, reverse engineering Mystic Knights Online. The best clue to understand what the server should reply to each packet the client sends is, well, the client binary itself. Using Ghidra and the Emotion Engine extension for Ghidra, I'm able to decompile the PS2 binary. On screen is an example of a packet parsing function that is quite literally a goldmine for us and allows us to take very educated guesses at what the packet structure in the reply should be. But how did I find the packet handler function in the first place? Well, actually, a really powerful trick is to look for strings. So a lot of the error messages or words that you see on screen in the game, they're actually just strings if you're lucky enough, and they're encoded in the binary. Ghidra tells you exactly in which functions those strings are being used. I essentially worked my way backwards like this, and with a bit of luck and patience and some careful packet fuzzing, I was able to figure out most, if not all, of the packet replies. And of course, there were a few head scratchers. This is an early iteration of my server where I just made my first major breakthrough, got past DNAS, selected a server, I'm able to log in with my credentials, and then just a black screen. Took me a while to figure that one out. Here's another example when I got much further and I was in game, but just had a black screen, or my models spawning in a T-pose, or dead, or just stacked on top of each other because I hadn't figured out the starting position logic. Yeah, honestly, there were quite a few hurdles, and let's just say I'm very relieved it's all over. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I give to you the finished product. Let's get right into it. So here's the main menu. We'll select Network Game. And then we'll select Login. As you can see, I've translated the menu to English for your convenience. Here we're greeted with a list of servers, so we'll choose server MN0. We could see the traffic indicator status on the right. So this has low traffic. We've reached the account creation, deletion, and login page. Here we enter our ID and password, and we're able to log in. As a little demo here, I'll delete my current user, which is AAAA. I'll have to enter my password 2 times to confirm the account deletion. I'll then go and create it again, but first I'll show you what happens if I try to log in with a user that's not in the database. Now we'll create it again. Now we save it to memory card so I don't have to enter the password every time. Accept the terms and conditions. And we're greeted with the channel list. The channel list will keep being sent from the server. If it stops being sent, we disconnect. So we'll select channel 01. And here's the room list or lobby list. So we'll go ahead and try to do a random, which is like kind of a quick join. So it'll try to join an available open lobby, but unfortunately, none of these 3 lobbies are joinable. Either they have 4 out of 4 players, or the game has already started. You can also send macros in this game, so quick messages that you could send to other players. I'm going to go ahead and edit this macro just to use it later on as a demonstration. I have no idea why I put Elmo, but he is quite a pleasant, furry, red friend. So we'll take it. Save it to memory card. We'll go ahead and create a lobby. So I could have changed the name of the lobby, but for simplicity's sake, I just left it to the default, which it'll just take the name of your player ID. So in the background right now, I'm connecting on 3 other instances of the game. So the other 3 instances will join the lobby. It'll just be a while. You can see all of the debug messages being printed in the console log on the right from the server. And all of the other 3 players have changed their status to ready. I'm going to change the map, change my character. I'll just demonstrate real quick the kick feature. So I've just kicked player 2. They're no longer in the lobby. But of course, they're able to join back. I'm not sure why there isn't a mechanism to impede that, but we ask questions later, I guess. I'll start the game. And here's the countdown. And game start. So one of the 4 players was assigned the role of the traitor or vampire. So they're able to transform into a vampire, and their objective is to impede the other 3 players from getting 40 kills, or simply just killing all of them. Both of those are win conditions for the vampire. And the other way around is also true. As you can see, I just sent the Elmo macro that I had modified. I'll just quickly abandon game here. I'll give you a full view with all 4 clients visible, and then we'll go into more detail. So here's a more detailed demo with all 4 instances visible on screen. I'm just demonstrating over here how the player count for each channel increases and decreases as we join and leave channels respectively. This time I'll create a lobby, except I won't use the default name. I'll use a custom name. I'll have another user create a second lobby. And I'm demonstrating the quick join functionality. So as the third user, bottom left selects random. They are randomly joining one of the two newly created open lobbies. I'll also demonstrate the creation of locked lobbies, so you can lock your lobby, make it private, add a password. I'll have all the other users join that lobby. And as you can see, when a lobby gets deleted, well, actually, I should explain. When there are no more players in that lobby, the lobby is deleted. If there's still a player, the ownership of the lobby gets transferred. But we'll touch on that in a bit. So everybody is just entering the password and joining the locked lobby. I accidentally opened character select on one of the sessions, so I'll just quickly choose a character there. Kind of a spoiler, sorry. So each player can choose between 8 different characters. No player can have the same character. Everybody must have a unique character. And each player that is not the lobby leader, the host, must declare themselves ready. Once you toggle your ready state, you cannot, the game will no longer accept any input except the circle button, which will unready you, basically put you back in the wait state. The host can then select a map, just demonstrating again the kick functionality. So when a player is kicked, they receive a message telling them that they have been kicked, and they can enter again. So with everybody in a ready state, I'll go ahead and just demonstrate real quick what happens if I leave. So the lobby ownership was just transferred to player 1. I'll just quickly join back in again. I'll ready myself. And now player 1 will start the game. In a few seconds, the server will perform a ready check to make sure none of the players have disconnected, and it performs a countdown. And action. So player 1 has been assigned the role of vampire, and I'll be taking control of player 1. I can only control one at a time, so bear with me. And I'll transform into a vampire. As you can see, I am a male vampire. That has nothing to do with the gender of the character I chose. It is assigned randomly. And I'll attempt to damage an enemy player. All 3 other players are my enemies. Doesn't matter what weapon I choose, I just can't do damage in human form. I'll take some time to explain real quick. Those bars under the player icons, that is your suspicion meter. When a player's suspicion meter turns amber, when it's nearly full, you're able to damage another player. even if you're not a vampire. So in vampire mode, I am able to damage the other players, just showcasing a few different attacks, and I've pretty much killed them. So now I've triggered the tracking system. I need to get out of that yellow circle, but I won't. I'll stay inside the radius just to show you what happens. So my suspicion level just increased by 30, saw a little plus 30, and my suspicion meter went up, and I've been flagged as a very suspicious individual because I was near the murder. I'll also show you another mechanic here. So I've just clicked on the body, so it notifies everybody that I was the first one to discover a body. It doesn't tell you whose body or who died, but it tells you that I've discovered a body. So why would I be reporting somebody else's body if I'm the vampire? Well, it's mind games. In the bottom right corner, just a second or two ago, I don't know if you saw, but one of the characters died, and I'm given the option to spectate if I choose L3, or I could also abandon the game. I chose to spectate. So I'm currently spectating player 1, and I've just turned into a vampire, but oh no, I was in somebody's field of view, so I've lost all my power. I'm unable to change back into human form, and I just get this message on repeat. I've been discovered because I'm trying to change back into human form. And I'll just go ahead and murder this player. But yeah, you're in a significantly weakened state when you're discovered. And also, all the attacks you use your vampiric energy. And one way to charge your vampiric energy is basically to turn back into a human. Now that you can't turn back into a human anymore, you're forced to kill other enemies. So those 40 enemies, it's going to count towards the other team's kill count. So you're basically helping the other team just to replenish your energy. You have no choice. And the other player that's died, player 2, top right, I've just abandoned the game after dying. So you can see they've returned to the lobby. And it notified everybody in chat that that player has abandoned the game. So I'm just farming some enemies, mostly just to recover my vampiric energy. This is not really a great example because the other 3 players are not moving and not doing anything. Typically, they'd be farming and trying to get to that 40 vampire kill count in order to meet their win condition. As you can see, the enemies are quite tanky and we don't do much damage just with regular attacks, especially in this weakened state. We finally took him down. And we got a large medkit. We're able to use items by pressing L2 and then circle. So you can pick up various items like health packs called medkits. There's different sizes. They restore different amounts of health. Same items that are available in the single player campaign. There's some vests that provide basically armor, so you could tank a few hits without taking any damage. There are multiple tiers of protection. And there's also ammo drops, so you can obviously replenish your ammo. So that is part of the game. When a player is flagged as an enemy, their player icon turns red. When you've seen, when you've inspected a body, that player is marked dead, so their icon turns gray. As you can see, the vampires still attack. I mean, when I say vampires, I mean the smaller vampires. They still attack the traitor. So it doesn't matter if they're both vampires. I don't know what the logic is there, but that is how it's coded. And we've killed the last player, so all survivors eliminated. The traitor wins. And after 5 seconds, we automatically go to the score screen. So here we see Player 1 lost, player 2 win, player 3 disconnected, DC, player 4 loss. And they're awarded points, and their ranks also may change. Here's one more quick demo at 4x speed. Just wanted to showcase the various items that can drop, as well as show you what happens when you disconnect through abnormal means like resetting the PCSX2 instance. So here's a large med kit, and I used it. Some rifle mag, medium med kit. Shotgun mag. I'm really trying to find a vest so I can show you guys what the armor looks like. And unfortunately, as you'll see, I'm not quite fortunate, so it took me quite a few tries before I got one. So we basically just showcased all of the different magazines, so all of the ammo you can loot. Each enemy has a drop table, so the items are random, but there are only subsets of items that can drop from specific enemies. Unfortunately, this bigger enemy is going to take me down, so I'll just use the vampire to quickly take care of these enemies here, and you'll see I'll finally get a vest. So that's what the vest looks like. Use an item I don't need to use, it'll say I don't need to use it. I just reset my PCSX2 instance, and you'll see bottom left, Trader Henry has disconnected. Lost connection to the server, I should say. And here's another demo, just showcasing in the top right. Now the gender of the vampire has changed. This is the female vampire. It has a different moveset. And I'll showcase what happens when you safely make it out of the tracking system circle. I was not detected, so my suspicion did not go up. And finally, if the vampire quits the game, it becomes AI controlled, and I will quickly dispatch of the vampire here with the remaining player. And that's pretty much a wrap. But before I let you guys go, here's a little website that I put together. Just a little love letter to Mystic Knights, a little archive or a shrine, if you will. All the information I've gathered over the years, all the media I could find. Here's an archived version of the website. You could find the Wayback Machine, some screenshots, some game scans and photos of different variants, like the not for resale copy. Just a huge thank you to everybody who contributed and sent those scans and photos over. Here's a promotional video for the alpha multiplayer that I found, unfortunately, a little bit too late after I was done the work. But it did help me figure out that the countdown goes down from 4 instead of up from 1. So a little developer interview, a blog post. And finally, here's a little announcement for you guys. So not only did I give you guys a network configuration guide here to set up, to get this all working for yourself, but I've also got a little surprise for you guys. So I'll be hosting my private server online for you guys until September 1st. So you have a little bit over a month to check it out, and you don't have to go through the trouble of setting up a private server locally or online for yourself or for your friends. You could just use my server for now. So please do check it out. I'll probably be taking all of the data I gather and making some kind of leaderboard in the future. So that'll be fun. And I encourage you to visit my GitHub link to find out more. You can find everything on the Mystic Knights archive, which I will link in the description of this video. Small disclaimer, guys, this is not a production-ready server. It was never the intent of this project to make one. This is just for fun. So you might encounter some issues or glitches or unexpected behavior with packet drop, especially when we start to reach hundreds of concurrent players. I don't know if it'll ever reach that point or if it'll even gain any traction at all, but just do keep that in mind. I think the theoretical limit is 960 players. I don't think the actual server can handle that much due to various bottlenecks. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy, and thanks for watching.